Next question comes from Random Tech. He says, "Hey Bandrew, appreciate you reading my comment. The key phrase in my comment was within your budget. I would never recommend to any of my clients that they spend 70% of their income on housing. That's just nuts. Typically, you want to budget about half of that. Another way to do it is to take what you're currently paying in rent and work backwards. How much home does that afford you? If homes in your area are selling for significantly higher than what a typical mortgage payment would be, then it makes sense to continue to rent in the short term. But my experience is that within a year or two, rents get jacked up to reflect the new higher home prices, so you end up paying the higher prices in the end anyway. This is exactly what's happening right now in many markets with rents soaring and bidding wars on decent apartments. Either way, I'm sure it will work out for you. Just gotta enjoy the ride." And he's got a emoji of waves. Random Tech, thank you very much for the comment, and thank you for sharing your expertise and advice here. I think you are exactly right with your advice, not going above 35% or having that be the goal that you're shooting for, 35% of your income going to your mortgage, and rental prices skyrocketing. Now, why am I agreeing with that? Because my rental price just skyrocketed 30%. New York City! So I am agreeing with you because from firsthand experience, I can see and I can know, and my bank account can know that rents are skyrocketing and becoming unreasonably expensive because, we can assure you that it's just meeting the current market price for rental. This is what it's supposed to be. 30% increase? Why not? I'm fine. Who cares, man? Who cares? It's just 30% more. 30% increase in your housing price? No big deal. But anyway, I don't think that currently I could get anywhere near 35% of my income for housing in terms of a mortgage. I think at the bare minimum, I would be at 50%, but more realistically about 60% in my current market. Somebody else asked me where I got the 70% figure that I mentioned last week, because that seems absurd. 70% of your net income going to housing? They said they could buy a mansion or a massive, almost $1 million home, $750,000 home or something, where they're at, and it would be way too much home for them. Maybe for you that's the case. Here, that's not the case. Here, that is not the case, and I am calculating 75% not on my gross income, meaning what my salary actually is. I am basing it on my take-home pay. So it's gross income minus taxes, minus retirement, and minus insurance. To me, those are all non-negotiable. I obviously can't just stop paying taxes. I don't think that I should stop contributing to retirement because that is essential saving. And insurance, I'm not going to cut that out. So those three are always going to come out of my paycheck, and I am basing 75% on my take-home following that. So now we have Excel. I have Excel. I did a bunch of stuff, and let's go ahead and... All right, things are about to get serious because I am now screen capturing, and what I am screen capturing is Microsoft Excel. If you are just listening to this show, I implore you, go to bandrewsays.com or go to youtube.com and search BSP-312 and watch this, because you need to behold the glory that is my Excel spreadsheet. In reality, it's hideous. There is no formatting. It is just a quick down and dirty calculation sheet so we can get to some figures. The first line item on our spreadsheet is gross income. We are assuming a gross income of $71,500. This is based on an article by Intuit, where they say the average annual income for a bachelor's degree holder is $65,000, and the average annual income for somebody with a master's degree is $78,000. Split the difference, we get $71,500. That is the gross income for this example. The next line item is insurance, and I actually calculated how much my insurance costs me every paycheck. 7%. I lose 7% of my income every paycheck to insurance. For this person earning $71,500, that comes to $5,000. Our new annual take-home is $66,500 dues. Then we get to retirement. This would be 401k, retirement savings, anything like that. For this, I'm assuming a 12.5% savings rate. This is based on Investopedia. In an article, they say 10 to 15%, or if you get older, or as you get older, not if, everybody will get older, there's no question about it. But as you get older, as you get closer to retirement, bump it up to 20 or around there. For this individual, that's $8,300, decreases our take-home to $58,000 a year. Then, everybody's favorite part, taxes. I calculated how much my taxes are. It comes to about 25% between federal, state, Social Security, Medicare, all of that. 25% taxes. This would be $14,500. Which means our annual take-home pay is actually $43,637 after insurance, retirement savings, and the lovely taxes. Certainly doesn't seem like as much as you thought you'd be getting if you got a contract saying, we're going to pay you $72,000. Then you end up with $43,000 instead. Where'd the money go? I don't know. But with this information, we can calculate our monthly take-home pay by dividing it by 12. So our monthly take-home pay would be about $3,600. And with this final figure, we can calculate what kind of mortgage we're able to afford. If we wanted to stick by that old rule of 25% of your take-home pay goes to housing, we would need to find a mortgage that has a monthly payment of $910. That seems like a good payment. I'd be happy to pay that much. But with the interest rates where they are, I didn't address this yet, they are now at 6.3%. 6.3% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So if you want to pay $910 a month, you would need to buy a home that costs $126,500. Good luck. Good luck finding any home at that price. Even the crack houses don't go for that little here. That's insane, seeing that figure. If we want to jump up to 35% of our take-home pay, about $1,300, $1,272 a month, that would be a $200,000 home. Good luck finding a home without bullet holes for $210,000. So what if we wanted to get risky, super risky, and jump up to 50% of our take-home pay going to housing? That would mean every month our cost would be $1,800. And what kind of home price could we afford with that? That would be a $310,000 home. That seems reasonable. A $300,000 home? That seems reasonable. That's common. Not. The condo that I was looking at a couple of years ago, 2016, 2017, 2018, it was $200,000 then. In Zillow, I know Zillow's not the best place to get home values for, but Zillow lists it at $350,000 for a 2-bedroom condo. So all of a sudden, $310,000, you might be wanting to get risky, but there's nothing that you're able to buy for that price. So what if we jump up to 70%, that super duper risky number that I was talking about last week, the number that Random Tech, a realtor, would never advocate for anybody. He would advocate for 35%, which I think sounds reasonable. But at 70%, we're paying $2,500 a month. That would buy us a $457,000 home. Now for me, when I see a home approaching $500,000, I start thinking, wow, must be nice to be rich. I would enjoy having those 8 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, infinity pool, and servants. Nope. This is reasonable here. There are plenty of home. If you want a 3 to 4 bedroom home in a decent part of town, you are absolutely looking at $400,000 to $450,000. And the thing that makes this difficult for me to swallow is I live in one of the poorer states in the country, and the average income of my city is well below this average of $71,500. You would be an all-star earning that much money in this city. And at $71,500, you're still only able to afford, if you want to be conservative, a $200,000 home, and those just don't exist. So what this exercise in Excel has illustrated for me is the issue with the interest rate essentially doubling over the last 6 or 7 months, but there not being any downward movement in home prices. Now, I understand historically interest rates at 6.3% are affordable, but home prices back when interest rates were 10, 12, 18%, home prices weren't $500,000 in a poor state in a violent city. So interest rates have doubled, and there hasn't been any downward movement in home prices. The home prices are still inflated. But why did the home prices become inflated? Because there was high demand. But why was there high demand? Money was cheap. You could borrow a whole heckin' ton of money for very little interest. 3%, 30-year fixed. Yeah, I can afford a $450,000 home. But now that interest rates have doubled, you would need to see some kind of decrease in demand, which we have been seeing, and with the decrease in demand, prices, home prices, would need to drop as well to meet that supply-demand curve. But that has not happened yet. So currently, home prices are still where they were when interest rates were 3%, and the demand was inflated because money was so darn cheap. They haven't come down as the interest rates have doubled. So that is the issue that we are in, or at least as I see it, as a non-mortgage person, as a non-realtor, as a non-real estate expert. That is what my analysis shows me. So once home prices start to come down, I'm not saying values. I know Dave Ramsey really harps on home values aren't decreasing. Home prices are, though. So once home prices start to come down to reality for a poor state, a violent city, where the average income is probably around $50,000, you can't have $500,000 homes. You can barely have $300,000 homes, but the vast majority of the market is $300,000 to $450,000, $500,000. Really $350,000 to $500,000. So that's my analysis. Really fun to look into this. I hope that was interesting to all of you. And to answer, I can't remember who asked it. That's how I got to the 70% figure. Because I would be looking at around 70% of my income going to housing at the current home prices. There you go. Alrighty. Let's jump back to the other recording. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just do more of the podcast, I guess. How about that? When you first started listening to the Bandrew Says podcast, did you in your wildest dreams imagine that you would one day witness me do a deep dive on an Excel spreadsheet? Ever? In your wildest dreams, did you imagine that? If your answer is no, I don't know what you're smoking, because that is exactly what you should have been expecting from this podcast. That is exactly what this podcast exists for. Stuff so ridiculous that we do deep dives on Excel on an audio podcast, that is stupid. It is absolutely ridiculous. That's what this show is about. Ridiculousness. Wait a second, that's what Rob Dyrdek's show's about. Ridiculousness. Trademark. Copyright. Next, we have a comment from Nathan, and he says, I am pretty sure you can buy a house tomorrow if you just sell all of your microphones. Nathan, you should be feeling very lucky right about now, because I just have not gotten around to installing all of my crowd booing sound effects onto the soundboard of the Rodecaster Pro 2. Otherwise, I would be having you booed by tens of millions of people right about now. That is unacceptable behavior, unacceptable thinking. That is a thought crime. Now I understand why 1984 was written. It wasn't a cautionary tale, it was a guidebook. And look out, I'm coming for you for that thought crime. That is unacceptable. What would ever make you think that it's okay to recommend, oh, you want to own property, just sell all your microphones? Unacceptable, ridiculous. Dare I say, blasphemous? I don't know. I don't know if I go that far. On the verge of blasphemous. For shame, Nathan, for shame. You're probably right, but for shame.